Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum. My name is AIZAT bin ZAINUDIN from for BMMM. On.
My name is CORNELIUS HAVIT.
My name is Muhammad SHAFIQ NAZRI.
Okay.
Okay, we have our guest.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, we have our guest, Mr. Farid. Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good evening everyone. My name is Muhammad Farid bin Saad. I am 25 years old and currently working at AIZAT Technologies in Dermahat at Cheras. My position right now is junior production engineer.
Okay. Tonight we are going to ask Mr. Farid a multiple question about the ethics for engineer in his working. Okay. First of all, the first question is, what are the most ethical issues for engineer?
Okay. First of all, ethics are principles followed depending upon the moral responsibilities that a person face. The study of related questions about the moral ideas, character, policies, and relationship of people and organizations involved in technological activity can be termed as engineering ethics. An engineer, whether he or she works individually or works for a company, has to go through some ethical issues, mostly under conditions such as conceptualization of a product, issue arising in design and testing department, or maybe on the issue involving the manufacturing, sale and services. Questions related to morality also arise during supervision and teamwork. And the ethical decision and moral value of an engineer need to be considered because the decision of engineer have an impact the product services such as how safe they are to the use, the company and its shareholder who believe the good will of the company, the public and the society who trust the company regarding the benefit of the people, the law which cares about how legislation affects the profession industry, the job and his moral responsibilities, and about how the environment get affected. Basically, not only engineers, but everyone has to follow a set of moral in order to keep away from getting moral degraded. Our behaviors should include the following, such as respecting others and ourselves, respecting the right of others, keep promise, avoiding unnecessary problems to others, avoiding cheating and dishonesty, and we must show gratitude towards others and encourage them to work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farid. Okay, for the second question, okay, what are ethics? Why are ethics important for professional engineers? Can you give answer?
Okay, as professional engineers, we are trusted with projects that impact the life of hundreds of thousands of people. So I think they have some one institute which is the NJSPE, I think at the US, which they produce a code of ethics for engineers. It is a document that was put together to help us keep that fact in the mind and be a guiding factor in making hard decisions during our careers. The code of ethics can be summed up with two key points that we will explore in more depth, which is safety and honesty. First of all, safety is a key. The preamble to the NJSPE Code of Ethics for Engineering states that engineers require honesty, impartiality, fairness, and equality, and must be dedicated to the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. When it comes to the ethics as a professional engineer, it is about so much more than preventing illegal activities. It is about making sure the life we touch with our words are protected from incompetence and are at the forefront of our minds as we work. The second is integrity and honesty. Another important reason to have a code of ethics for professional engineers is that a standard for professional behavior. You know you can accept another professional engineer to behave with honesty and integrity since they are adhere to those same creed as you. The public can also be assured you are not pulling fast one or working for your own gain. The standard professional behavior provide the people who think you work with and for the foundation of trust that you are going to operate the projects and public's best interest.
Okay, thank you. Now, Cornelius, you can ask a question for Mr. Farid.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farid. So after this, we start to come to the new phase of our life, where we are become an engineer. So as a first engineer, what the best advice we get from you regarding to the ethic?
Okay, for me that I can advise to the fresh engineer, to all the fresh engineer outside there, before you start to accept the job, you need to learn and know what is actually the ethics of engineering. Because once you become a fresh engineer, or you may be the next step is professional engineer, you will carry a huge responsibility to the society. For me, the society here is I refer more to the company, the employer, and the young client. If you do not roughly understand the ethics, it may lead you to some problem regarding to your work, such as maybe if, when you do the work with your boss, you have the wrong. Actually, if you do a simple mistake, it may lead to your career. It broke your career.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your sharing, Mr. Farid. Then our fourth question is about communication, where the communication skill was the key of successful of any project. Do you agree with this statement, Mr. Farid?
Basically, I for this communication skill, I 100% agree because in our daily life we use this skill to interact with other either for work or personal issue. For me, communication is the most important aspect or key in our successful and project because for engineer and mostly the leader do a majority of the time is communicate to coordinate effort. To coordinate efforts, we have to gather a lot of information and disseminate it across all team involved with the project. Without this communication, it is possible that effort might be duplicated by multiple people or teams involved in the project. That is important goal and the milestone might be missed, the resources become mislocated, and the project scope begins to slip outside of the range of what was originally intended. The end result is that project can be switched to halt or worse, or we can fail together. Let me take a word from the Salman Kennedy, one of the assistant teaching professor in the Northern Master of Science in Project Management. She said communication is one of the most essential ingredient in successful project and skill that a project manager and engineer have to have it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farid. Okay, now Shafiq turn. Can ask Mr. Farid a question.
Okay. My name is Shafiq. So since you are in engineering
Okay.
field, so how do you handle and misunderstanding among your team as engineer?
Oh, this is a very difficult question for me because every day we have a human always facing the problem with beside the words and the personal problem. But for the working problem, we must put aside the personal problem first. We must focus on what the working job job first. So the way I handle this problem and this understanding is I call all the engineers, mostly the boss, and then maybe we can call some senior operator by having a small and short discussion regarding the issue. In the discussion session, we more hear to what each person opinion regarding the issue, and we can take. And the final is we must take only one decision, and we all or the person we need to stick with the final decision, and no more argue about the final decision after that.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. That's all from us. Thank you for spending your time and knowledge for this interview session.
Okay.
I hope this will help us for our future career as engineer.
Okay.
Wish
Okay,
you all the best
I
and good luck.
hope.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope that
See
you all pass
you
your
next time, Mr.
final
Farid.
semester.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Farid.
Good evening, Mr. Phil. Thank you for joining us for the interview for regarding to the ethics. So we ask, let us introduce ourselves. So my name is CORNELIUS HAVIT. The two my friend Muhammad SHAFIQ NAZRI and Muhammad ZAINUDIN. So before we start, may I ask if you introduce yourself?
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Phil Foster. Currently an area engineer at Malaysia LNG Sdn Bhd, company producing LNG lah as our product. It's a subsidiary of Petronas, right?
Okay, let me start for the first question. For the first question, what can happen if the engineer break the ethic code? May Mr. Phil explain about the when the engineer is break the ethic code?
Anything can happen actually, but as far as I know, if an engineer break the ethics or any code of conduct, they will be sent to. It depends on each company really. For some company, they have their own disciplinary parties or investigation team. They will have a fair investigation to investigate due diligence of all of these engineers lah. And because it cannot be straight away pointing out to the engineers. In totality, a thorough investigation needs to be done to cater for kind of find the root cause, whether it is intentional or it is genuine negligence.
Okay, thank you for the first question. Then we proceed to the second question. Maybe Mr. Phil before this has experienced this kind of thing. How do you handle problem and misunderstanding among the team as an engineer?
Okay, of course, when we are working as a team, everybody have their own opinion based on their technical knowledge, their backgrounds, their experience. But most importantly, in the end, we want a particular task or project is a success lah. However, it is important for us to get a collective agreement that it is within the within the technical capacity. For example, if the team decide to install a valve here, kan? If there's a pipeline, it went to install the valve. Install a valve, of course, some due to the project nature or project requirement, it required to be one valve to be installed. However, you must refer to the code and standards, kan? Eventually, technical justification will overrule this thing lah, because safety is still the priority lah. That's the collective agreement must be present along with the strong technical justification lah.
Okay, thank you for the second question. So we will proceed to the third question, Mr. ZAIM.
Okay, hi Mr. Fee. Good
Hi.
evening. Okay, I have a question. As a professional and experienced engineer, what engineering code of ethic that you practice and believe?
Okay, it's a broad question lah. For me, as engineer, we must stand and abide by any code of conduct lah. And not only that, paling penting, as a professional engineer, I think ada echo lah. Can someone of you
Mute mic. Excuse.
It's okay. Dia macam ni ya. For example, in the event of compliance to the ethics ni kan, it's very important for us to again to the technical basic lah. So whatever I believe in, I surely strongly believe in safety in this case, because everything, because when we design something, especially you guys are mechanical engineers, right? Of course, you guys will design something and everything you design safety. Okay, you guys are mechanical safety. Dia ada echo lah.
Ya, Japil aku mute tau.
Maybe Zain can mute. Okay, sorry ya. Okay, dia macam ni. Jawab soalan balik tadi. Me, what I as an engineer, the most importantly is must have a head system. Okay, as an engineer, kita kena design something in such a way that it is safe, not only for during operational but maintenance as well. So bila you buat design, you akan ada banyak code yang you kena ikut. I still some standards, macam in Petronas we have Petronas standards, in Shell we have design and DEP standards. All of this governs how you design something in the process or equipment. Okay, so it's important because eventually it will for during operational but maintenance as well. So bila you buat design ni, you akan ada banyak code yang you kena ikut. Lagi lah. Ni okay, standards, macam Petronas we have Petronas standards, in Shell we have design and standards. You will use by your team. I think that's all of it.
Okay, one other question. The engineer have a duty of care to the public under common law. Give example the obligation that your duty imposed as a professional engineer.
Okay, the important ones that I can recall, close example lah. When we are operating a plant, we do have air pollution kan. So we are governed di Malaysia ni, under nama tu CAR 2040. Okay, and then we are governed by class regulation. Lepas tu kita ada DOE nama tu DOE law yang govern how we operate facilities. For example, in the event during we operate the plant, plant ni ada emission tau. So emission macam CO2, lepas tu ada NOx, ada SOx. This one is very important. So as engineer, we must practice and operate plant facilities. Mesti having this discharge air emission tidak lebih daripada design ini. Okay. I think in day-to-day basis, memang kita monitor if A punya as well as wastewater so and every month we produce a report and send this report to DOE department.
Okay, thank you. Shafiq will continue.
Okay, Mr. Phil, good evening. For the next question, professional engineer should be allowed to practice as consultant and protector at the same time. Do you agree with this statement?
Echo lah, tak apa dengar.
Repeat balik soalan.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, for the next question, professional engineers should be allowed to practice as consultant and as a contractor at the same time. Do you agree with this statement?
Okay, as professional engineer, I did not agree with this practice whereby the consultant also the contract holder. This is conflict of interest lah. You guys know conflict of interest, right? For example, dia macam you have your own personal interest to make the project work. Normally, this will involve some cutting corners. So normally, how we are doing about this is that consultant must be a separate entity from the consultant. This is to maintain some level of integrity, some level of goodness lah. So that there's a check and balance in a particular project of
Okay, thank you, Mr. Phil. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you for spending your time and knowledge for this invitation. I hope this will help us for a engineer. Inshallah. Wish you the best and good luck. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Phil.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Phil.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Waya.
Thank you. Okay.